Hi everyone, it's Jeremy Nichols. I am a full-time headhunter and recruiter for over 20 plus years. I have interviewed thousands in my career. And in this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 things that you should not be saying in the interview. So let's get into it. All right, so you're in the interview, you're sitting right across from that hiring manager, and they're digging in really deep into your resume. Things are going good, you're getting a little comfortable, and they just ask you some more questions about your past position. And you simply say, "It's on my resume." Do not say that. Do not make the interviewer look down and start to proofread your resume in the interview. Simply just explain, especially if it's something that you've done for years and you wrote your resume. Just because it's on your resume does not mean you should just tell the recruiter that it's on your resume. A lot of times, recruiters and hiring managers, even headhunters like myself, even though I've read your resume, I want to hear it from your mouth. I want to hear you explain some things that you've done in your past job that might not be on that resume. I want to hear you touch upon those tangible things, those accomplishments that you've done, and I want to hear you specifically go into it in more detail. That's the ticket. Recruiters and hiring managers, we want to hear more detail, and we also just want to hear it from your mouth. So even though it's on the resume, we still want to hear if we're asking you. So don't tell a recruiter or a hiring manager that it's simply on your resume. Now, the second thing that you should not be saying in the interview is actually a few things. I'm going to consolidate them into one. But basically, when the interviewer asks you, or if the interviewer asks you, what is your biggest weakness, you give yourself a compliment. Now, that would be something like, I'm a perfectionist, or I care too much, or I just take on a lot of things and I multitask. I mean, those are things that you know the interviewer wants to hear. They love people who care too much. That shows pride. They love people who do a lot and multitask. Everybody does. And they love perfectionists because they're organized. I mean, let's get real. Let's talk about something that you honestly can improve on. Maybe think of an example and then how you've learned from it. So if you're nervous about that question hurting you in the interview, then just think about this prior to the interview. Be prepared, because most of the time, 75% of the time, this question will come up. So think about something that is a weakness and give an example, and think of something that you've done already to improve on that, or how you've already battled that. Okay? So this is a way to get away from that typical giving yourself a compliment when they ask you what your weakness is, because I tell you what, they do not want to hear it. Most people are giving them that answer. Now, for the third thing that you should not be saying in the interview. Now, before I get into that, if you like the content that I'm sharing in this video, this channel, every single Thursday, I will be putting up a video every single week. So subscribe to this channel if you like the content that I am bringing. So what is the third thing that you should not be saying in the interview? That is this: I do not have any questions. Or at the end of the interview, when the recruiter or the headhunter or the hiring manager says to you, do you have any other questions that you'd like to have answered? Or do you have any questions for me? And you reply back, I don't have any questions. Or nope, you covered everything, I don't have any questions. Do not say that. Always have questions in the interview. Number one, it makes you look organized. And number two, it makes you look genuinely interested in the role. And number three, it's just something you shouldn't say. We always want to hear candidates have questions. So if you're wondering, hey, Jeremy, I might not remember those questions, right? It's perfectly okay to bring in your iPad or a notebook and have your prepared questions written down. In fact, I always love it when I see candidates come in and they have their notepad of questions. It always makes them look prepared and interested in the role. So just always have some questions written down. I would say prepare about 10, maybe 15 of them, because some of them might be covered. And let's just pretend, worst case scenario, which I doubt will happen. Let's just pretend, for argument's sake, that you had 15 questions and all of them were genuinely answered. Then just simply say, I was going to ask you this, this, and this, but you did answer those in the interview, so I appreciate that. And if you have your notepad and they see that you clearly scratched some things out, they will understand that you did come prepared and you did have questions. We just don't want the optics to look like you don't care and you didn't come with questions on hand. The fourth thing that you should not be saying in the interview is something like this: I didn't really get along with my boss, or I didn't like my supervisor. Negativity about your prior job should never be in your interview. And I know you've probably seen this already in many videos, and that's because it's true. Being negative about a prior employer or a prior job is never going to help you in the position. Now, again, there's a fine line about being honest in being negative, so just be aware of how it's coming out. But to dig in and to dwell and be negative, and especially say that you did not like or get along with your prior boss, that's never going to cut it. So just be very careful when that question comes up and you'll do just fine. Now, the fifth and final thing that you should not be saying in the interview is, again, a cluster of things. It's a kind of a topic, but I'll give you some examples. And that is unprepared questions. Unprepared meaning you haven't done your research on the company, and asking questions like, what will I be doing in this role? Or, so what does this company do? Or, what is your role in the company? These are questions that you should know. And in this day and age, with Google and the internet and how far we are with all of these resources, right? There is no reason you should not be prepared in this interview. So do not ask questions like that, because that right there is a huge red flag. So just wipe that out from your vocabulary. Now, I hope that you took something from these top 5 things that you should not be saying in the interview. I know that it's only 5, and trust me, I could give you probably 20 more, if not more than that. But I wanted to make this video quick, and I wanted to give you my top 5 of things that are so common in interviews. And even though I've been interviewing for over 20 years, I am still hearing these things to this day. So regardless on where you are in your career, definitely take this advice and think about it. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. I will answer any message, any comment that pops up in these videos. If you have any questions or you want to do a deeper dive in this video, shoot me an email at jeremy@geckohospitality.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn at Jeremy Nichols CPC. I look forward to making more videos and adding to this channel every single week, because I know it is helping a lot of you out there in the search, and that is what motivates me to continue to do this. So thank you for supporting, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.